So you get to direct two really fantastic episodes of the show.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I'm glad that you got to do them back to back. I'm not sure if that is something that you, I don't say like appreciated doing, but I feel like you got to do like a really great, 2-hour chunk of the show. And I have to say, like, I'm a huge fan. So thank you for taking the time to talk to me, first of all. But I guess I wanted to know, first of all, what it was like to sort of join the show, because it has a very specific tone, a sort of very delicate. I've been fortunate enough to talk to a lot of people from the show, and I'm sure everyone's sick and tired of me talking about how great the tone is. But I'm going to ask you how wonderful the tone is, just because I feel it's, I think nimble is the best word to describe the tone of the show.
Right. Yeah, Flight Attendant's tone is super special, unique. I mean, it's kind of what drew me to the show to begin with, just how masterfully they handle all aspects of the show. So, of course, the cast kind of bouncing between all these different tones of really personal exploration and drama and internal, struggle with addiction, struggle with, Rosie Perez struggling with feeling invisible to her family, but then in the shooting style and in the editing style and the visual effects style, you're just kind of all over the place, and it's okay and it's wonderful, and it makes it fun. The split screens that kind of remind you of 70s and 80s spy thrillers, right? And you're laughing, you're crying, Kaylee's laughing and crying within the same scene. It's amazing. So I couldn't stay away. That's what really drew me in. I remember in season one, I remember a scene between Kaylee and Zasha, where Annie as Zasha as Annie is offering Kaylee a Topo Chico to deal with her problems, and she's like weeping and she's got tears running down her face, and she's like, "No, I don't want a Topo Chico," and it was just like, I think probably improv, I'm thinking, and it was just perfect. So I don't know, everything about Flight Attendant made it really enticing to join up with everyone.
Yeah. I guess I kind of want to know what it was. You get a lot of time in the Mind Palace. Is that what it's called? Mind Palace? That's what we're the Mind Palace. Yeah. That's a very special space. I think the thing I love about the second season is how drastically different it creatively is from the first season. I think there probably is a temptation to be like, let's do what everybody loves. But no, I think the show sort of really embraces the newness of the story and the locale, sort of wiping the slate clean, just sort of how Cassie is trying to wipe her slate clean. I guess in a general sense, talk to me about having the freedom of that space, because first of all, Nina's production design is insane in the best way. But I guess as a director, I wanted to maybe like how much of a fun playground that is for you.
That was so fun. Yeah, Nina and I just had the best time together. It was Nina's first, season with the Flight Attendant, right? She took over, and she had no time to prepare Iceland, Berlin, and LA at the same time. It was amazing. It was a task. I remember we scouted Iceland in August, and we're sitting in one of the bars we had to scout and going, oh my God, look at what's in front of us, but especially you, Nina, you've got to kind of build everything in 3 countries at once. But yeah, for me, I just loved the challenge. Like you mentioned at the top, just, oh my gosh, how did I kind of respond to this idea of being, it wasn't that I was shooting 2 episodes back to back. It was shooting 2 episodes kind of at the same time, right? So we started off by filming all our LA scenes first, which included all the Mind Palace scenes. And that was quite the feat. Yes, we had locations to shoot, like Guisado's Tacos and the beach, and Max's parents' home and all of that. But we also were building and shooting the Mind Palace. I loved the creative freedom that offered me. I thought it was super appropriate that because the season was about Cassie's self-awareness and her understanding that she was struggling with her sobriety, and then all the voices in one's head as you try to kind of stay clean.
Yeah.
But also that fatalistic part of her, the black sweater Cassie kind of being super negative about everything. The gold dress Cassie being super optimistic and also mean about everything. And then I got to introduce Perfect Cassie, Perfect Cassie, who was Cassie's idealized version of herself, the one that got married, the one that, you know, did all the right things, made all the right choices, and was kind of super mean and critical of the present day Cassie's choices. So there was just so many ways we could have fun, but what we knew, you know, under kind of the guidance of Silvertree, who was our producing director and directed a lot of the episodes, you know, let's have fun with this. Let's look at Hitchcock. Let's look at you know, De Palma. And for me, I was really interested in using split diopters. I'd done it before. I found this to be, of course, yet another wonderful opportunity to kind of use the split diopter and, you know, bring two planes into focus at the same time. So a lot of times I'll be showing, you know, Cassie in the background with a gigantic shot in the foreground. Like when I say shot, I mean shot of alcohol. And it was just like, that was a really fun creative opportunity just to kind of figure out how to be expressive about her temptation. And also just playing in the Mind Palace with 4 different versions of Cassie. We had multiple strategies for how to handle that and our schedule, but the most ambitious scenes involved using the motion control rig and having Kaylee Cuoco act against Kaylee Cuoco while each version of her was sitting or moving in different ways, and having the camera kind of recreate its motion so that we can composite all of the Kayleys together acting against each other, which was an amazingly challenging feat, but we did it, and Kaylee did it, and we kind of all pulled together as a village. And as Nina likes to say, let's pull together as a family, which I love. I love this idea that you have this kind of creative family and you're going to pull this out.
Yeah. You know, I gotta say, I like how a lot of times with this show specifically, I like how this show moves, and I love how the show is edited, because, and of course, just because I just thought of it now, of course, I don't have any specific examples, but it's sort of like, I love how just hearing you describe that, because I wanted to ask about Picture Perfect Cassie, because she's like introduced in episode 3, I think, and she's the fact that it's Kaylee Cuoco acting opposite herself, but I mean, she's a brilliant actress, but it's just sort of like the way that the camera moves around the Mind Palace was sort of like fascinating to me when I was rewatching the episodes, because it's just sort of like, it's sort of just like her mind is just trying not, maybe not her mind, but like it's just trying not to collapse upon herself because of all this temptation around it. And I sort of love how, you know, we get to really see how expansive this space is, because it's reflective of like how expansive like her addiction is, and how like, you know, maybe there are a lot of hidden things in her mind that she doesn't even know about, her subconscious. So that I'm just like obsessed with that aspect of the show. Sorry.
Thank you. No, thank you for being obsessed with it, because we put a lot of thought and love into it. I mean, like, you're absolutely right. Just this idea that, you know, for one of my scenes, for example, you know, Cassie gets off the phone. Annie's just told her that Marco has brought her some roses. And we pop into the scene and Cassie's like, oh my God, what is it with all these roses? And our visual effects team helped me like put roses everywhere floating around the Mind Palace. But then she kind of runs into Future Perfect Cassie, and she's being like kind of criticized by Future Cassie for not like being straight with Marco. And suddenly they're interrupted and they turn, and over lying on the floor in the corner is, you know, black sweater Cassie. She's just laying there, kind of lazily, like just being negative. And, you know, what we did was we like strung above her these chains, because there's this other subplot that's happening, which is these bodies are wrapped in chains and they surface in, you know, Echo Park Lake. And so that's another worry that's kind of in the corner of, you know, regular Cassie's mind. I call her regular Cassie just because it makes it normal. The
That
normal
makes sense.
Cassie.
Yes.
And so all these different like little pockets of her mind palace are different pockets of her mind where lurking are really, you know, intense stressors, you know, death, love, you know, someone's plotting against her, alcohol over there by the bar,
international espionage, you know.
International espionage. And of course, all this is interrupted by Gold Dress Cassie. Gold Dress Cassie is like shaking her martini shaker at the bar. Is that what you call it? Cocktail shaker at the bar. And just kind of interrupting with this kind of, I had Monette do as the double kind of start this rhythm, this kind of very like specific rhythm that I just kind of made up on the spot. It's like, let's not just make it just plain old shaking of a shaker. Let's add a little bit of a, you know, a rhythmic.
There's like a musicality to it.
Musicality,
yeah.
Which was fun for us.
That's great.
I remember Monette really enjoying that.
I wanted to ask about a moment in episode 4. So you have these 4 amazing women. And then if you think about their characters, when I was thinking about it this morning, it was just like their characters, if you just line them up and throw them into this situation with Michelle Gomez, Kaylee, why am I blanking? I have it written down in front of me and I can't.
Margaret Cho and Rosie Perez.
Margaret Cho, like, my God. And Rosie Perez. You got these 4 amazing women who can do comedy in very sort of 4 specific styles, running around maybe in the back of a van together, all scrunched together. I wanted to know how much fun that was, and B, sort of like how you sort of balance that, because I think that is a true test of the tone that we love so much about the show.
Such a great question. Yes, we were always aware that we were kind of balancing the explosive amount of humor and comedy we had available in the back of that bus. And we were, you know, we wanted, and I wanted to definitely honor and give the space for all 4 of these amazing women to kind of do their best. And they have so much fun together, just kind of bouncing off of each other. And Michelle Gomez has, you know, she brought like 6 times the amount of energy that ends up on screen, which is to her credit. It's just so wonderful. But you have to also kind of make sure you're kind of keeping the stakes grounded as much as possible, so that you know that they are truly in trouble. Yes, we're going to have this pocket where all of them are bouncing off of each other, freaking out. And each of them are kind of wrestling for control, which is wonderful, because it makes complete sense that each of these women's, most especially, you know, Megan and Cassie and Miranda, all think that they know the best plan. Then Miranda comes in, she's got the weapons. People have to listen to her. She has the most experience. I love my favorite moment, which is when they're all in the storage room in episode 4 after they stabbed Hawk. And Miranda says, you know, search his body. And Kaylee goes, search his body. And she like pulls her sleeves around, you know, her white sleeves. She starts patting Bruce Bake down. It's so adorable, like kind of way, just to look for some weapons. But so beautiful moments like that, you know, just come out of their freedom to play. And so you kind of have to make sure you have that space. And we did. And Rose brought some incredibly important ideas to those scenes as well. It had to do with the flow of her character and how it all read overall in the whole season. So everyone had a mind to, you know, what are the stakes of their character? What is the situation they're in? And my job was to kind of help manage that, work with Natalie Shaides to manage that, because she was our showrunner on set and she really had a strong handle on, you know, how this all plays into the greater scheme of things. And also get some shots that make it cool, fun. Did I answer your question? I'm sorry, I got really
excited. You did. No, I just feel like that, because each one of those women and each one of those characters could exist like as like the lead character of a movie. And it's just sort of like, I don't know, there could have been a real not temptation, that's not the right word. It could have gotten out of control just because of how like crazy the circumstances are. But it feels very like controlled, but like very, very playful at the same time. And it feels very genuine. I feel like there's a lot of really honest like comedy there, because I feel like it really lends itself to like, can you believe this? We're doing all this crazy world trotting stuff that that I think is like the epitome of why we love the show so much, because it introduces these crazy over the top situations, but gives us incredible acting to go with it. I guess that kind of makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for noticing.
Yeah.
And we had the moment we all landed on that cliff, you know, with the helicopter, when
Mhm.
kind of showed up the set, everyone was aghast. I mean, I
Yeah.
had known what we were getting into because I'd scouted it multiple times ahead. But yeah, I remember Kaylee kind of running up to me going, "This is amazing. This is beautiful. I can't wait to be shooting this." And you know, we all had our trepidations because who knew what the weather would be?
Right.
Would it be, you know, would there be no place to put our boat because the waves would be too big? But it turned out beautifully. We felt really blessed by the weather in Iceland on that particular day, and everything kind of pulled together. And Rose was so psyched. Everyone did a little photo shoot inside the helicopter.
Yeah.
Because they thought it was so glamorous where they were, and it was a really glamorous photo shoot.
That's
It
great.
was all personal, like, and the stunt doubles I have to give shout out to, because they did a lot of the kind of planning, and they were there first thing in the morning. So yeah, it was a really big day for a lot of people.
That's wonderful. It makes me so happy just to hear all that.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things in episode 3 is the introduction of I just call her fucking Carol, just because I had no idea Alana Urbach was going to be on the show, and I think she is just like the bee's knees. I love her. I've loved her since like Legally Blonde, and everything she pops up, I'm so happy about. And she's doing a lot of really great work right now too.
Yes. Brilliant.
As on sort of a more domestic level for Cassie, I guess, since this deals with more of her like cover of and the story that she is you know, using it for like old life. I want to know just what kind of fun you had with the sort of introduction to an antagonist, another antagonist, I should say, to Cassie in like the flight attendant world, just because I think Alana and Kaylee have really great chemistry in that one scene where they're negotiating for the jump seat.
Amazing. Thank you for noticing again, because that was a really fun day. I mean, just you know, organically speaking about it, because I haven't thought about that scene in a while, I'll say, I remember we knew we were pressed for time, and I knew that their chemistry was going to be amazing because they loved each other and they were both extremely funny actors.
Yeah.
So we definitely made sure we were cross shooting, and that was the perfect choice because we got everything we wanted. And they definitely did a lot of riffing, and that riffing was glorious, and I had fun with that in post. As did our editor Carol, whose name is Carol, and she loved that she got to do it with fucking Carol. Pardon my language. And the word fucking Carol, pardon my, again, I was like not used to doing, but that name actually surfaced on set. Kaylee loved it so much that we also put it in the mouth of the woman at the gate saying, you know, basically said, use the word, say it's fucking Carol, you know, and so that became a thing. But yeah, I think, let's see, I just remember that we had, you know, for every set of maybe 3 or 4 takes, we played with just the level of manipulation that, you know, Cassie had at her fingertips at different moments. And Alana just brought, every take was different because Alana and Kaylee were having so much fun together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell.
It was like, it was also it was the first scene we shot. And so it was just kind of getting to know the rhythm of the crew and everything. And it was really fun.
Okay. I half expected when I went onto IMDb, like she would just be, I was scrolling through and I was like, I'm half wondering if she was just credited as Alana Urbach, fucking Carol. Like that would have been amazing. We should probably appeal that on IMDb. I guess one last question before I let you go, because I did not realize we've been talking for almost a half an hour already. There are 2 sort of allusions to Cassie's relapse in, I think it's in episode 4. I think when we see the leak in the Mind Palace, And then I think there's a mention in episode 3 when gold dress Cassie tells her, "Your secret is safe with me," and she winks at her. And I guess I was wondering if you could tell me what kind of conversations you had about sort of not showing too much of that, because the relapse, when we find out about it later in the show, is a huge surprise to me. I think to a lot of people. And I was curious how much you wanted to like tease us with not giving too much away.
Yeah, I think the key there, if I remember in episode 3, it was the moment that regular Cassie walks up to the bar and Gold Cassie is trying to serve her a gigantic martini. And it's kind of intercut with Cassie in Iceland struggling with her sobriety.
Yeah.
Your secret safe with me, the reaction was important. We kind of made sure we had a number of options for regular Cassie's reaction. We wanted to make sure that we had versions where she goes, "What are you talking about?" You know, and other versions where she just ignores it altogether. And it was really just about making sure we had the options to make the choices of how much we wanted to release, you know, how much we wanted to tease ahead of time, so that we could make the choice whether or not people wanted to guess it, would be able to guess, you know, what the big secret was. And yes, the other scene was when the other hint was when young Cassie was in the Mind Palace building that
that like fortress.
Massive, the little church, which was kind of a stand-in for what it was like a metaphor for building a house of cards, and how that house of cards could, you know, fall apart at any moment, which it does do, you know, at the end of episode 4. And I think there again, young Cassie alluded to this idea that there's a woman upstairs and something's leaking.
Yeah, she's like, the tub's on or something.
Maybe the tub's on? Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
And then regular Cassie's just like, huh? Yeah. And then she's like, whatever. So I think, it was pretty conscious that we weren't supposed to kind of know. In fact, for a second there, until I kind of interrogated Suyaki, our other showrunner, you know, who started with season 1, Steve had to kind of, I think I had in my head a lot of options of what that meant. And so I needed to kind of figure out how much I was going to tell, how much Cassie would tell with her reaction. So for me as a director, it's all about protecting for those options in post, because you never know how things read, most especially when you have a lot of footage that you're working with and making a choice about pacing for the whole season. So I'm glad to hear that kind of worked out for you, that it it was a total surprise for you.
It was, because I feel like sometimes I'm just like a scatterbrained individual anyway. So like, and there's so much going on in the show that I first of all, the way that Kaylee winks at herself, like when gold dress Cassie winks at regular Cassie in that exchange, it intrigued me. I was like, ooh, what is that about? But then I feel like there's, you know, so much is going on later in like episodes, you know, 5 and 6, that it was sort of just like, oh, I even forgot about that. So when I rewatched it, like when I showed it to my husband, it like jumped out at me so much that it was just like, oh, okay, I see what you guys are doing.
Yeah. I like watching. I love watching, you know, Kaylee, you know, acting against herself, you know, kind of pissing herself off. Like she basically also we, you know, it was definitely a production conundrum. Sometimes we would bake in, you know, an action from one of our earlier takes, and then when she turns into the next character, she would like beat herself up for having like kind of put herself in a corner for the next take. So we're always kind of protecting for all sorts of things, but it was just such a really masterful team effort to kind of pull everything off the way we needed to pull it off.
Okay. Well, I think that might be all the time I have with you, Jennifer. Thank you so much for your time, and I can tell how much fun you had with this show. It is definitely, it was like the first season was my favorite show of when, what was it, last year or the year before? It's just such a great show, and I was so excited to see how this season made everything so much more personal. I've been telling everybody that how I was like nervous because I love the show so much. It was, how are they going to top the first season? And I feel like in a lot of ways, you guys really did top the first season because it's more emotional. You guys get to go to darker places with this season, and I'm just in love with it. So thank you.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Joey. On behalf of anyone who you haven't spoken to, thank you, because I know there's a lot of love, that everyone put in, kind of
all right,
make it a good one.
Yeah. All right. Well, stay safe, have a good rest of your day. Good luck this season, and thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Great meeting you.
You too.